TJ, you are a national 40 under 40. In fact, you're the youngest member ever in it at 26. You're a branch manager. You've built it up to 60 units a month already. You personally funded $500 million in a 5-year span. You've been a President's Club member every year since you were in the industry. You haven't missed it even once, and on pace for another 100 million a year already. What are you most proud of?
Thanks, brother. Grateful to be on. The thing that I'm most proud of is when I relocated to Orlando and had to rebuild in a brand new market. We were able to fund $56 million our first year in a market where we had no relationships.
56 million in the first year in a brand new market. Why did you have to start in a new market? Did you move? What happened?
Yeah, so I think anything in life is a combination of personal and professional. There's always multiple pillars that lead to big decisions. So I was working in a family business and there was time for a transition. And my wife at the time was from South Carolina and she always wanted to move and go somewhere else. One of my best friends at the time was living in a city called Claremont, Florida, right outside of Orlando. Came down, visited, fell in love with a little place called Winter Garden. And at the time, we weren't settled in Florida. We were cities. We were thinking about Austin, Texas, Nashville, Tennessee. We were looking at Colorado. That was on our vision originally. And I drove down this little cobblestone street and fell in love with it. I went on Zillow, found a house, posted it on Facebook, asked if anybody knew a real estate agent. It was listed for $725. I told her to put in an offer for me at $600 with the golf cart in the driveway and all the closing costs. They countered at $612. And I said, all right, let's move. I'm a man of faith. I just felt like the Lord's hand was all over it. He wanted me to move here. So there was peace. Didn't make a lot of sense, but we said, let's just go for it. And that's how we ended up in Orlando.
Whoa, there's so much to unpack there. The negotiation skill is something else. Maybe we'll touch on it later. I just want to point out, wow.
Yeah.
But when did you move to Orlando?
So I moved to Orlando December of 2023.
Okay.
And my mentor at the time was Dustin Shepard, who's now the president, soon to be CEO of American Pacific. It was a top 10 independent mortgage bank. And when I processed the decision with him, he said, hey, man, I would love for you to come and join Element Mortgage, which is the division he started at APM. He said, we'll back you, we'll support you. So there's a lot of transitions going on. There's the transition from a new market, a new city. There's a transition from there was a salary and there was bonuses and there was overrides on a big team we built going into commission only and then going to commission only and into a new market. So one, being able to support the family. I still had a property in Charleston. So now I have 2 mortgages. I had a 1-year-old son at the time. And then after we get here, I found out my wife's pregnant. So now I got a daughter on the way, 100% commission. So I don't even know what was the original question. The question was what?
When did you move there? But I actually want to ask a quick question because you and I have spoken a bit. And one thing that amazes me is you don't look at obstacles as like bad things. You look at them as a great story. Touch on that, how you developed that, and just tell me more about that frame of mind you have.
The greatest opportunities we have in life are the obstacles. So if you get 3 deals that are cleared to close in one day, it doesn't change you. It does absolutely nothing for growth. It's just a happy day and positive momentum, and you're excited. When you get 3 deals that are suspended, it's the greatest opportunity you have to grow as a producer because you're going to learn more about the guidelines. You're going to learn about how to deal with underwriting. You're going to learn about how to problem solve quickly. You're going to learn about how to have high-level conversations in a time-sensitive manner. And it's the same thing with life. Having to rebuild in a new market, your opportunity to grow as a professional is so much greater than picking up 2 more deals in the market where everyone knows who you are. You're not growing as a person. It's like if we're a rubber band, every time an obstacle comes, it's an opportunity to stretch. And some rubber bands just sit on the desk their whole life and never grow. I'm trying to expand like Mr. Fantastic and be as elastic as possible. And the only way to do that is by overcoming obstacles.
Have you always had that mindset, or did that develop as you became older and more successful?
So one thing that I learned from a mentor is the difference between Chronos and Kairos moments. Chronos are moments in time that are chronological. Things just happen in a sequence. Kairos moments are moments that are high quality. They're impact moments where they're captured in time. It kind of disrupts the chronological order of things. They're like big life marks. So I think my mindset has developed the more like big Kairos moments I've had. And I've been very fortunate that I've had a lot of them at a young age. So some of it's overcoming trauma, some of it's personal adversity, some of it's, spiritual growth. All of it combined has made me a better mortgage professional. And what I would tell any producer or any loan officer is you are the product. The more you develop personally, that's why I love following your content, and I love what you put out, because I believe coaching is the greatest thing you can do as a producer, because there's a direct correlation. Like, the more you grow intellectually, emotionally, professionally, the more your pipeline's going to grow. Like, the two things are directly correlated.
Yeah. I the more you teach, the more you learn, and the more you grow. I want to ask you a personal question.
Yeah, please.
What's been the biggest challenge that you've ever met? You called it, I think, a Kairos moment that you grew the most out of.
Yeah, so we'll just get vulnerable. I have no problem in an open book. June 4th, 2018, I was shot. And I was, so to take a step back, so I'm originally from Philadelphia. I was outside of Philly for 20 years. I moved to Charleston in 2017. When I got down there, I had a very strong challenge adjusting to the new market. It's a very different culture. Didn't know anybody. I was a freshman in college. So I got with the wrong crowd, and I'm all in with everything I do. So I go 0 to 100. So being the entrepreneur I am, I picked up supply and demand with the wrong product. And a year plays wrong time. I'm getting robbed in a Publix parking lot, and I end up getting shot. So that moment at 20 years old, where a bullet literally grazed my head, it changed my entire trajectory, because I realized I was about to be a loser. Like, I was sitting in an ambulance thinking to myself, I'm minutes away from being a loser. Like, my legacy would have been, ex average high school athlete dies in Publix parking lot. Like, I don't even know what the headline would have been. And that was the most convicting moment I've ever had in my life. Not only did it bring me to my faith, but it brought me to personal development. There's two things side and side where I'm like every second matters. And I think a lot of people who have had near-death experiences have had these transformational moments where they're like, man, I really need to just appreciate life more. And the reason I say that's the greatest challenge is I had to rebuild my mind. I changed the music I listened to. I got a new phone number. I changed the people I hung out with. I started reading books. I started showing up at events where I was the youngest person by 40 years. It started this acceleration of personal development. And I've been on that journey now going on 8 years of never miss a month without reading 2 books. Some months I'll get 4 to 5 books, but never read a month without 2 books. Never miss a week without working out. Never miss a week without journaling. Never miss a week without being in prayer. And that's 8 years. So what that's allowed me to do is now I'm 28, but I'm in an industry where, and I would ask you, I don't even know what the statistic is. I don't know what group has the largest producers, but I know that the rooms I go in, I'm the youngest by 10, 15, 20 years. But that's because it's been 8 years of a consistent input of intentional personal growth.
What an incredible story, PJ. And there's 2 things I want to touch on. One is, first, I want to highlight something that stood out to me. Your redemption arc, you have non-negotiables, but within a reasonable time frame. It's like, I'm missing out workout every day. It's every week. It's reading a book every month. And that's something that is so important to have. And I think a lot of people miss, because then you can beat yourself up on it. If you want to touch on that, go for it. Then I have another question for you.
Yeah, I think it's a beautiful thing. I think you just expand your capacity. Like, when somebody starts, it's so important to just pick a non-negotiable. So for somebody that's brand new to this journey, it might be read 1 book a month. And I agree with what you said. I could go on and on to that, but I think you're 100% correct. Pick non-negotiables that are in correlation to your capacity.
And in a realistic time frame again, and like, look at the difference from getting shot at 8 years ago, 20 years old, or you're 20, right?
20. Yeah.
And now look at you, top 40, under 40, multimillionaire, like, build out a team. You have people working for you. You have CEOs of companies relying on you. You have a beautiful family. Like, it's like working out twice a week in itself, nothing crazy. But you work out twice a week for 8 years. Look where you can be. It's just a consistency over time. One thing, I think a lot of people have really impactful moments, but it's really hard to know what to do with those impactful moments. So when you started on the journey of turning your life around, do you remember what was the first step you took?
Yeah. The first conversation I had was with one of my uncles who was a believer, and he told me there's three things that are going to change your life. And this is the first time I'm actually bringing this up in a professional interview, so it's a great question. He said, people, places, and things. So he said, your whole life comes down to the people you hang out with, the things you do, and the places you go. And he said, stop trying to be the man to the streets and start trying to be the man to your family. And it just shifted my whole, it was like the first impact moment. This was like a week after getting shot. And I was like, people, places, and things. And he was a recovering addict. So he was 20 years sober. And he was giving me that feedback that, I mean, it's the simplest formula to change your life. Hang out with different people, go to different places, and do different things. I'm like, okay, that makes sense.
That's so good. And how long did it take you until you became a person that you didn't recognize anymore?
It was 6 months. And then when I met my wife on October 31st, 2018, which is another God story because I was somewhere I wasn't supposed to be. I met her at an after party. She radically changed my life because she's been an accountability partner for 7.5 years. So what's really cool about preparation is if I didn't go on that 6-month journey of recovery, I wouldn't have been prepared to be the quality of the person I needed to be to capture the relationship with my wife. That was the second part of that. And really all the way till today. Like I could get emotional and cry. I think about the quality of my wife and the quality of my children and the family we've built. And then I think about who I was before this journey started. Those lives are physically impossible to be in coexistence.
That's so incredible. You started to change yourself, and everything else changed again. There was a thing there's saying my mom used to say to me when I was a kid. The first step is by you. The first step is by you. The rest is by God. And
let's go, Mom.
Yeah, well, and it's like you really took the first step and you kind of invested in yourself, and then everything else, people like came in, events, situations, like you're meeting your wife, going to Orlando, all of those things that just happened because of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to dive deeper into your business.
Yeah, let's
Is there
do
anything
it.
else you want to share about your personal life?
I'll say two things before we dive into the business. So I always try to take this opportunity when I have conversations like this, just to give gratitude for the people that have poured into me, because it hasn't been the PJ Crescenzo show. For the first 5 years of my career, I had an incredible opportunity to work with my father, who was a top producer in the industry. We had the opportunity to collaborate. A lot of that volume was possible based off of relationships he built. My role was just to help expand them, what's allowed and give us the capacity to fund a lot of volume. So without the opportunity to step into that environment, my career would look very differently. So I want to give gratitude there, give gratitude to the mentors that have poured into me at American Pacific. And then the last thing personally is the foundation of faith, family, fitness, and finance. Those are kind of the 4 pillars that I run my whole life through, where I make sure every day I'm touching these 4 pillars, has allowed the finance, which is the last pillar, and the professional pillar to thrive. It's a really simple formula. It can look different for everybody. Everybody has different types of faith, but having some type of faith, some type of fitness, some type of connection with family, those are the things that keep you rooted and dominate in finance.
That's really good. One more question I want to ask you before we go into professional. Yeah. How do you view the role of finances in your life?
I think finances are the scoreboard. So even though I don't want to gain the whole world and lose my soul, if I'm in the marketplace and I'm not making money and I'm not generating revenue and the business isn't profitable and I'm not picking up market share, I don't think I'm being a good steward of the opportunity I've been given. So I think finances are your scoreboard of how well are you doing as a professional. And I think a lot of times people don't want to look at the scoreboard because it's painful. I just went through a little bit of a shift professionally when we dive into the business. But when my number one focus was producing, I'd look at Scotsman's Guide and say, I'm not even close to the top 10. But that gets me excited. It gets me fired up. You see guys like Matt Weaver and Sean Bosnia and this dude, the broker in LA, guys doing 400, 500, 600 million. I look at the scoreboard every day, not because I'm envious, but because I'm inspired. And I can see if another man can, why can't I? If another man on Forbes can make $40 billion a year, why can't I? He's 5'10" and he's from Chicago. It's not the NBA and the NFL where you need to dunk and run a 4.5 in the 40. You just need to be good at business and making decisions.
And it's a skill that anyone can learn. It's actually not particularly difficult. Let's shift to your business.
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm going to ask some rapid fire questions so everyone can understand where you are right now.
Yeah.
How many loans are you doing every month?
Right now, we're consistently closing 30 to 35 loans as a team.
30 to 35 loans as a team. Where does that business come from? Like, where are your leads coming from?
Yeah, so I would say it's 60-40, 60% resale relationships with real estate teams and individual brokers, 40% new construction through builder accounts that we have regionally throughout the Southeast.
Do you know how many let's start on the focus on the realtor part. How many realtors are you actively like taking care of? Not that send you business, but actively you take care of it.
What a great question. I just went through our book of business dashboard that we built on Monday.com. I have 140 agents, which is new construction and real estate, that send us business. So out of the 140, there's probably 15 to 20 that I would consider agents that I'm talking to, if not weekly, every other week. And then there's maybe 5 that I'm talking to, if not daily, but every other day, like true partners that we're doing 3 to 4 transactions with a month.
Fantastic. And do you have a process, and you can go into the process if you want, for how you stay in touch and take care of your referral partners?
Yeah, so I think there's 3 layers to the industry, and maybe there's other coaching programs out there, because I'm curious what yours is. But what I've been exposed to is, first thing I got exposed to was the core, right? So you got your greatness tracker. Then what I actually like better was Dustin Owens, the blueprint. That's my favorite document about how to structure a day. We took both of those documents and simplified them into what we call the greatness dashboard, and we built this for our LOs in Monday.com. So I think theme days are really important because it keeps you fired up. I think non-negotiable minimums are really important because it helps you keep track. My process, again, prior to this new role, because I'm going through a little bit of a transition right now professionally, was I was sending out a power text every single morning to my top 25 agents with update on industry fun facts, shifts in housing that they need to be aware of, and updates in rates. And the update in rate is like a decimal point change on a daily basis. But I did that as a way where every morning it was a mental reminder of who do I need to check in with. And I actually heard this on a podcast with Shayla Gifford, the Rainmaker podcast. There was a guy he quoted it, the Jimmy text. And I was like, this is brilliant. So I just started sending out texts every single morning to my top 20, 25, 30 agents. So I could keep them top of mind every morning. And they loved it. They're like, this insight's amazing.
I'm reading between the lines here. You have a great process, but I want to identify one thing I'm learning about you right now on this podcast, why you're successful. You're very young. You're massively successful because you're around some of the best people in the industry. You said Cole, you said Dustin, you said Shayla. If you guys don't know Dustin Owens and Shayla Gifford, they are 2 of the biggest hitters in the industry. Amazing. Core is where I was trained as well. Like I think, I'm biased, Core is the best coaching program in the industry, even better than mine. But so you see, like, the power of coaching, you said earlier, like if you're around the right people, if people are investing in you, it just expedites success.
And people want to help you. If you're a good student, that's the other thing. It's like the teacher appears when the student is ready. If you ask questions and you implement what they tell you, I don't know if there's anybody at a high level in the industry who's not willing to help if you're serious and committed.
Yeah, exactly. And when you are committed, I will actually I don't normally do this, but I want to put an advice out there for the young 20-year-olds that are in the mortgage industry, because you're living proof of it. Really successful people are looking for 20-year-olds and even young 30-year-olds that are energetic, that are willing to be invested in and do the work. Like you shared the story of how the CEO gave you a division, mentored you, poured so much into you, and look at you now. But because you show you're willing to do the work and invest in yourself and like be coachable. So if anyone's 20 years old listening, like there are people who will invest in you if you do the work first.
And something that gives peace to that is Ray Dalio. And I don't know if those principles are changing world order, but he talks about the 3 phases of life. And everybody gets to the 3rd phase of life where it's the give back phase. Most CEOs, high level, 50, 60, 70 years old, they have all of this wisdom and knowledge and they want to give it. Like they don't want to die and not give everything they've learned in their career to somebody. So knowing that, like when I read that shifted my perspective, where I was like, oh, they actually want to tell me what not to do. And they want to tell me what to do. I just need to ask.
That's it. How old was the CEO or is the CEO that's investing in you?
That's a good question. Maybe 47, 48.
So it doesn't have to be an old person,
No.
for lack of better words. It's someone just ahead of us that can invest in us after they see us investing in ourselves.
And I have friends that are mentors that are really good at one area of life, and they can be the same age as you. Like if somebody's a master in time management or a master in fitness or a master in marriage, they don't have to be 30 or 40 years older than you. The concept is just learn from people who have done something you haven't done.
That's it. And I guess this is a good transition because you're stepping into a new role. What
Yep.
is your new role and responsibility?
Yeah, it's a new role as vice president of sales with Element Mortgage. So today we have 35, and we just brought on a new group. So 41 loan officers nationwide. We have 4 key locations. And I think we're a tenth of a 1% of what we're capable of. Not even close. So I could go on and on about all the reasons why I'm excited about this role, but essentially the new role is not only organic growth with the current footprint, but a heavy focus towards bringing on new talent. And my mission and what I'm really passionate about, which I think is a blue ocean in the industry, is helping loan officers build a business without burnout. Every top producer environment I've been in, it's the same conversations of struggling with availability and struggling with being available on weekends and evenings and pressure on the marriage and pressure on seeing kids. It's like we have this golden handcuff industry where it's an incredible cash cow and an incredible way to achieve really, really great income for a great lifestyle. But I see a lot of the leaders in the industry that are just pushing production. And I don't see a lot of people peeling back the pillars. I don't see a lot of people encouraging EAs and scaling strategies and ways to empower delegation. And even though it's talked about, it's not implemented. So my mission is to help loan officers build a business without burnout, because I've been through both sides of it, and help them get to the 30 to 35 units a month, which I think is a really healthy place for a production team. Like if you can get a team that's doing 30 to 35 transactions a month, you're generating $250,000 to $300,000 worth of revenue monthly. It's a strong business, and you can do a lot of things with that, whether you want to continue to grow and get, the 50, the 70, the 80, the 100 units, or you could be a really good entrepreneur or investor. And now you have a vehicle that allows you to do other things in the marketplace. So I'm passionate because I just did it, and now I have the capacity to help other people get there. And not a lot of people want to get to 30 to 35 units. A lot of producers only want to get to 5, 10, 15, maybe 20. But it's been an awesome journey to get to where we're at today.
Who is your ideal person that you say, you come to me with this desire, you look like this, I can get you to, let's say, 30 loans a month or 10, whatever you want?
My ideal candidate is somebody who's a phenomenal relationship builder. They're really good at generating revenue. They're not good with systems. That's the environment I stepped into with my father. Like, which he knows, he is a phenomenal originator. Could make it rain in the middle of a drought. Never had a CRM.
Wow.
And no SPs. Just complete winging it, which it worked. It worked really well. What I'm in the process of doing, building out an SOP board for every step of the process with a clear document next to it. So file gets suspended, SOP. Client is rate shopping, SOP. Agent calls at 8 o'clock on Saturday and asks for a pre-approval, SOP. Every single thing that happens in our business, I'm creating a sales SOP board and an operations SOP board. So everybody on our team has access and can just search the scenario, click the SOP, and say, oh, this is how PJ would handle it.
I love it. That's so rare in our industry, and it helps so much. If more mortgage companies did it, they'll be more successful. What is your vision for what you're building? How many people are in it? How much money they're making? Anything you want to share?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think I'm processing the question because I think there's two sides of the vision. There's the business planning targets of like, hey, what's our North Star and what are we going after? And then there's like the qualitative vision of how do we want people to feel about it and what does that culture look like? So the first North Star is $100 million a month in production. I had another mentor told me it's the hardest hill to climb when you're growing a mortgage company is to get to 100 million a month. He said, once you get to 100 million a month, then you got economies of scale. And it's actually easier to go from 100 million a month to 500 million a month than it is to go from 0 to 100 million. Like it's very difficult to get, from what I've heard, to get to $1 billion a year in production. But that's my North Star. Get us right now. We're doing about 25 to 30 million a month as a group. I want to help us 3x in the next 18 months so we can go back on this podcast in a year and be doing 100 million a month in production. So that's the first vision. But underneath of that is a president's club within president's club. So our parent company had president's club. They'll take out the top 25 loan officers, but I want Element Mortgage, our division, to have 8 to 10 president's club level producers and do our own president's club trip. We go out to Hawaii. We got 8 to 10 people that are all, you know, 250, 300, 350, $400,000 earners, and doing it with a sustainable business, not being left on an island where it's like just pound the phones to do your $2 million a month with no strategy. I want every top producer to have an executive assistant. I want every top producer to have a processing assistant that's sending milestone texts when loans are conditionally approved, following up with the conditions, sending a congrats text when it's cleared to close, sending a happy closing day text when closing day is there, sending a text 1 week after closing, how are you enjoying the new home? Like, I'm trying to build an automation army for mortgages.
Amazing. What is I think what if I understand correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, you want a loan officer who already has the gift to generate revenue, but they lack the systems to scale it. How do you see yourself giving that system and structure to your ideal clientele?
Yeah, so I think there's multiple layers to it. And I would say this, there could be somebody with a gift who's never closed a single loan. So the person with the gift and the ability to generate revenue without systems doesn't need to be a 30, 40, 50, 60, $7 million producer. Obviously, that's a lot more valuable for the organization. But I'm trying to help me, like, because it says you can help people overcome the things that you've had to overcome. That was what I was when I stepped into the industry. I was able to sell. I went door to door, sold solar, did everything you can do in network marketing. And I got into mortgages, but I didn't have a strategy or a system. I just tried to figure it out as I go. So what does it look like? It's a couple of things. One, it's the culture that everyone in this organization is aligned on that mission. That's important. 2, it's simplifying the process. We've identified 10 steps that every loan has to go through. And the way delegation works is each support hire is responsible for handling 1 through 3, 3 through 6, 6 through 9, 10. So when you break the process up into duplicatable steps, you can then delegate to have those employees cover their responsibilities. So I'll give you an example. There are first 3 steps in the process. And I have no problem sharing this because I also learned from a mentor, you could share something with 1,000 people and there's probably 1 that's actually going to do it. So it doesn't even matter. The first step is the discovery call. You have all of these different ways that you can refer to this in mortgage lending, which is fine, but I put it in a way where I can digest it and teach it to 100 people. You have to do your discovery call. This is needs, goals, wants, and timeline. Timeline is really important because if somebody's trying to buy in a year, they're trying to buy in 2 weeks, that drastically impacts how we process this transaction. This is the most important step, which does not exist in the industry, and it's called preparing a mortgage plan. So after an application comes through, you can interview 100 branches, and every single branch will have a different process for when this app comes through. Everybody does. There's no like uniform way of what do you do when you get an application. We called it preparing a mortgage plan because no matter what the quality of the application is, it's a mortgage plan. A mortgage plan can be a pre-approval. A mortgage plan can be you don't qualify for 6 months. A mortgage plan can be you need a cosigner. But it just simplified the step of when an app comes in, what's my next step? Send a mortgage plan. And then step 3 is the action call, which is going over the mortgage plan. So when you have those 3 steps, bro, you could process 10,000 applications and you could have an inside sales rep do every single app.
That's it. It's a uniform process. It makes it easy for everyone to follow it. You have less breakdown in the process. And if you have less breakdown, everything becomes better and cheaper and you make more money.
Let's go.
Here, I love it. Do you want to be a CEO of a bank at some point?
I want to be whatever God calls me to be and whatever the greatest capacity and potential that I'm capable of. If it's a CEO of a bank, amazing. I'm not super attached to the outcome, but what I am attached to is every 90 days, I better be a better man than I was 90 days before.
How do you track that?
I think you track it with the pillars. Did I make more money? Did I save more money? Did I invest more money? Did I give more money? Did I build more relationships? Did I read more books? Did I attend more conferences? Is my marriage better? Are my kids happier? Can I do one more few days ago? I mean, I think every season is different. You might have a season where, like the season I'm about to go into is a family season. Like, so it's like, hey, I want to spend more time with my kids. Hey, I want to pour into my marriage. But I think life is these multiple domains and pillars, which I refer to them as. So if you didn't grow in any of your pillars, it's a problem. You're not going to grow in all of them every 90 days, but you need to pick one, or at least be able to evaluate, hey, where did I grow over the last 90 days? And that's how I think you measure it.
Key thing for me I heard there was you don't need to. In fact, you won't be able to grow in every pillar, but prioritize which pillar you will invest in for the next 90 days. Is that right?
100%. And you may even decide, like, again, there's seasons of life. So everybody's coming from a different season, but I'll give you another example. Like right now, what I determine in A to be in fitness is just showing up and putting in the time. So like if I sweat 5 days a week and put 45 minutes of movement in, that's a win for me in fitness. That's like, hey, I crushed my fitness goals. But 2 years ago, I was training for a marathon. So like it was a different season. My body isn't doing the same things, but mentally I'm measuring this pillar in a different way. And that's how you quantify it. It's just every season's a little bit different.
People who are listening and not watching, they didn't see me just have the biggest grin and aha moment. There's things are connecting with me and you. Why you're so successful, PJ? You have your standards. Like you do things. Like not everything's falling apart. It's not like I'm focusing on one pillar, everything else is going. It's like no, there's a baseline, but I'm gonna go extra hard on this one thing.
Yes.
Dude, you're so young, you're so successful. I can't wait to where you go. I want to go back to your business.
Yeah.
100 million a month. How many loan officers or how many teams or how many branches for you? You can give whichever metric is more useful to you. Will it take you to get to 100 million?
Yeah, I was thinking about this morning. Bro, I think this is another tough thing about planning because you can have strategy and you can have certain metrics, but in recruiting, man, there's a lot of unknowns. So I think the only thing that you can know, and again, this is a new season for me, so I might have way more feedback for you after doing this for 2 to 3 years. But I think the only thing you can know is the quality and the character and the culture that you want to bring in. How the production gets there is a little bit different. Now, we're not going to bring in 100 green loan officers. That's not our strategy. But I know in this growth, my team, I would like to continue to grow and be 15 million, right? Get us from 8 to 10 to 12 to 15, where we're 15% of the company. I think it's a healthy place to be. It also keeps you sharp, keeps you in the trenches, and it's another source of profitability to reinvest. And then I think we need to add probably another 60 million. So is that 12 $5 million producers? Is that 24 $2 million producers? Is it a combination of the two? I don't know. But what I do know is I'm going to control my inputs. So I'm having conversations with 5 loan officers a day. Like that's the thing I can control. I need to be talking to 5 loan officers a day, every single day. Different loan officers, the same LOs. Like I also set a KPI for our recruiter. Like let's get 2 offer letters out a day. I don't even know if that pace is sustainable, 10 offer letters a week, but that's what you control and you play around with. You just play around with the inputs and the KPIs that you can control, because I can't control how much production we onboard, but I can control how much production we're talking to.
I love that. What is your process for, we can do it for realtors or we can do it for recruiting, whichever you prefer, on how to get your conversations in?
I think it's almost the same with either one. It's what's your story? That's always been my first question in the opportunity to start a conversation. Like, hey, what's your story? Producer, realtor. Everybody wants an opportunity to tell their story. That's why podcasts are great. That's why I'm here today. Like everybody wants to be able to tell their story. And once you tell their story, you identify, hey, what's going really well for you right now? And what's a pain point? And whether it's a loan officer or a realtor, the pain point is your opportunity. Just like when we started this call, I was like, man, it seems like you do a good job with obstacles, because that is the opportunity. When a realtor's like, well, my pain point right now is blank. It doesn't matter what the pain point is. If you're a loan officer, that's your opportunity to sell. Like, just tell me one thing in your life right now that you don't enjoy. You don't enjoy coffee? Well, we just brought out a Starbucks program for all of our top producers. So we drop off Starbucks every morning if you send us your clients. It doesn't even matter what they say, because there is a truth. Like if you're in sales, it's a problem solving business. Same thing with a loan officer. My issue is leadership. My issue is pricing. My issue is products. My issue is systems. My issue is whatever your challenge is, brother, we're going to partner with you and help you solve it. And then you just got to really mean it and come through and execute so your reputation's protected.
What PJ said, I want to summarize it because, again, it's super important. Sales isn't convincing someone to do something they don't want to do. Sales is understanding what the other person's needs are and solving that need.
Let's go, Sam.
I'm a summarizer. I just translate stuff. That's what I get paid for. And so if that's the job, then start with it and ask, what do you need? What is your problem? And PJ, I don't know if you want to be sold to from this podcast, but what's one problem you have
Yeah.
that if solved, your goals would be much more attainable? So people can reach out to you after this podcast and be like, I
Yeah,
can do that for you.
absolutely. Everybody can reach out to me. My number one problem is always shiny object syndrome. Like I have a coach right now, I coach with Chris Welton. I'm supposed to text him a rabbit emoji every time I go down a rabbit hole. He should have 100 rabbits in his inbox, but I don't send them. And like, it's just like even this should work up a little bit. You hear me?
Yeah, I think you dropped off for a second. Can you repeat that after the rabbit hole?
Yeah. So I should have 100 rabbits in his inbox because I'm supposed to text them rabbit hole emojis. But I don't, because I enjoy sometimes the shiny object. I feel like I'm like an elite entrepreneur pursuing the next big thing. And then I realized 3 hours later, yeah, that was a rabbit. And then there's no point of even sending the text because it's over. So my greatest is because I'm so fired up about life. I'm constantly chasing opportunities and thinking it's the next best thing. It's helping discern what is the thing PJ needs to be doing as his highest and best use activity. And that is my greatest challenge.
You still don't know what it is, or do you know what it is now? Your biggest.
But I think like I was in a mastermind and another coach told me when I was like 100% producing, he said, if PJ only focused on closing loans, he could close 100 loans a month. The challenge is I get a lot done in a day and I can work really fast. But even this morning, I'll give you a real time example. I signed up for this Tony Robbins course, rapid planning method. And I'm like in here at 6 a.m. and I'm working on this Tony Robbins course. And then I start downloading this new Tony Robbins software. And then I'm like redoing my central tracking system and my projects for life and my 3-year vision. And I'm like, why am I redoing my 3-year vision on a random Friday morning? And this is where it goes both sides. Like, because I love coaching and personal development, I'm always in the place of planning, strategizing, mapping things out. But maybe it's like, hey, bro, you don't need to redo your 3-year vision today. You can redo it, after this quarter is over. Does that make sense?
It does. It's everything's a double-edged sword, and the poison is in the dose. Like what's gotten to here, if done too much, will hold you back as well, keep you here.
Yeah, because I love growth so much, sometimes I have to be okay with the mundane. Sometimes I have to be okay with a week of just executing and not dreaming.
Yeah, that's I think a lot of loan officers have shiny object syndrome, me myself included. So a lot of people will relate to it. PJ, what's one advice you want to give to loan officers to specify what kind of loan officer and then the advice?
I would say anybody with an NMLS number, do not allow the opinions of others, your experience or success up to the point you're hearing this, impact what's possible for tomorrow and the rest of your career. I've gotten maybe 20 DMs since I did the podcast with Dio with guys that are starting out in the industry. And they're like, man, I've been struggling. Man, I've been struggling. Man, I've been struggling. It's like, just because you struggle for 8 months doesn't mean you can't close 4 loans this month, or close 8 loans next month, or close 10 loans this quarter. Like, you have to believe in yourself. You have to be willing to tune out the noise. And then I'll end with this. This is something I've been processing a lot. Is there was an interview with Kevin O'Leary and Diary of a CEO. I don't know if you've seen this or heard this, but amazing interview. One of the best interviews I heard. And I watched Shark Tank my whole life, but I never saw Kevin O'Leary in this light. And he said one of the most impactful moments he had in his career was working for Steve Jobs, which I never knew he did. So it was one of the greatest mentors he ever had. And he said Steve Jobs' superpower, the greatest thing he did as an entrepreneur, was every day he could discern the difference between signal and noise. He would have 100 things happening, and he could pick the 3 things that had to get done that day to move the business forward. And if you're a loan officer, there's going to be 100 things coming at you. There's going to be 100 emails. There's going to be 100 places you could go. You got to wake up and believe in yourself and go after the 3 things that are going to put loans on the board. Because systems, scaling, AI, executive assistants, CRMs, none of that matters until you have people calling your phone, sending you business, and you have loans to work on. If you don't have that, there's nothing to build a system around.
You gotta make the flow, the river flow, the water flow, the leads flow, whatever it is. You gotta make the flow happen. Then everything else matters. Discern between signal and noise. That's so good. I will put something here. I don't know if it's a plug or an anti-plug. I've coached hundreds of loan officers, and I tell all of them to not listen to podcasts because it's a waste of time. And
Wow.
now I'm launching my own podcast. And to you listeners, are discern if this is actually helping you or if it's noise. And if it's noise, put it away. Don't listen to this. But if it's a signal, then listen to it. Don't let it be just pure entertainment that you feel like is effective.
Wow. I actually really appreciate that advice, bro, because I have a running list of every time somebody texts me, you got to watch this. I just throw it in a folder of like things to watch. And I'm in the gym this morning. There's like 9 things to watch. So I'm like praying. I'm like, Lord, do you want me to watch any of this morning? And I just deleted the whole folder because I'm like, I don't even want to watch any of this stuff. But there's so much stuff coming at you in this era of like, watch this, listen to this, watch this. I'm like, all right.
There's everyone's trying to sell something. So even this, like I'm a capitalist man. I love to sell stuff. So if the audience has to decide if this is useful enough for them that they actually make money based off the content here. But PJ, how can people reach out to you? Can people reach out to you?
Absolutely. I'm all Instagram. So if you want to get a hold of me, you want to reach me, you want to connect, just send me a DM. It's at PJ Crez, CREZ, and the number 3.
Amazing. You've been amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure, bro.